Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at every Rockstar PlayStation 2 game ranked.
You're out of luck. Take a look around. There ain't much here. I got nothing to offer you.
Rockstar has been around for decades, and while we know them primarily for hits like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, the PS2 was an era where they were cranking out a ton of games, both as developer and sometimes publisher. Did you play any of these for yourself? Let us know down in the comments. Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Number 17, Surfing H3O.
Wipeout! Ready?
Surfing H3O might be the dumbest title Rockstar has ever had their name slapped on, and it's one of the worst games they have ever published. Developed by a Japanese studio named Opus Studio Inc., Surfing H3O is one of the clunkiest, most awkwardly controlled games we've ever played. And what makes it even more painful is that there is just no creativity behind the surfing itself. The game quickly devolves into a mundane collectathon that just so happens to be themed around the sport. Not worth the money? It isn't even worth your time, dude. Number 16, Manhunt 2. Of all the Rockstar games to have been published, the Manhunt series has aged horribly. We'll get to the first game in a bit, but there are a couple of things that put Manhunt 2 towards the bottom. First off, the controls are no better than its predecessor. Daniel Lamb feels just as jarring to control as James Earl Cash. The story, on the other hand, is as painfully tiring and trite as the ultra-violent kills you'll perform in the game. At the end of the day, Manhunt 2 is your typical angsty teenager, unreasonably aggressive, exhausting to deal with, and is only acting out because of lack of attention and hormones. Number 15, State of Emergency. There isn't anything inherently wrong with State of Emergency. To its credit, it is a pretty solid beat-em-up with a unique cast of characters to choose from. Where it falls shorter than its relevance is the replay value, which there is practically none. 4 levels? Developer VIS Entertainment wanted to make a beat-em-up, and they could only cobble together 4 levels? 4! Even with missions to try and get you to keep replaying those 4, it winds up making the entire game monotonous. State of Emergency would get a sequel in 2006, developed by a completely different studio, and it somehow managed to be severely worse than its predecessor. VIS Entertainment would be shuttered in 2014, almost a decade after releasing their final game, Brave: The Search for Spirit Dancer. Number 14, Oni. Oni was unique in so many different ways. For starters, a game developed by Bungie and published by Rockstar? How crazy would it be to witness that kind of partnership today? Getting back on track though, Oni managed to stand out on its own thanks to its anime art style and combat. Sadly, it falters in questionable AI and a story that feels like it wants to go somewhere, but stops as soon as you expect it to expand upon its own ideas. Don't get it twisted, Oni might be worth trying for yourself, just don't expect anything truly spectacular to come out of it. Number 13, Manhunt. And here we are, back to Manhunt. As we mentioned earlier, Manhunt has a couple of problems that would carry on in its sequel. We'll give the game's shock value a pass because at least it leans in heavily on the snuff film theme. It owns it. Controls and combat, on the other hand, are still cumbersome to deal with. Like Oni, we wouldn't tell you to really steer clear of Manhunt, but this is nowhere close to the list of PlayStation 2 games we would recommend to you. Ultimately, it feels pointless to play, and you're more likely to forget the whole game once it's over. Number 12, Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories.
Will you piss off?
Look, we know this GTA game is noticeably close to the bottom of the list, but this is still a game we'd encourage any Rockstar or GTA fan to play. Vice City Stories was great on PSP with its return to an iconic location, brilliant story, and writing. The only reason it's the lowest ranking GTA game on this list is that it doesn't really do anything different than its PSP original version. If you already played this on the handheld, then do you really want to dump money for crap like new ramps, a few new rampages, and odd jobs, and just an extra Easter egg? We won't judge you if this is what you played it on, it's just, your money could be better spent elsewhere, quite honestly. Number 11, Smuggler's Run 2: Hostile Territory. Hostile Territory attempts to expand a bit on the original Smuggler's Run by including more vehicles and new kinds of missions. Not only will you be delivering illegal products, but you'll also partake in missions where stealth and vehicular combat take top priority. Sadly, that's kind of where the creative juices stop flowing. There isn't anything about Hostile Territory that puts the brakes on things, but there also isn't anything remarkable about it either. It's alright, and we're honestly fine with the way it is. Number 10, Max Payne 2: The Fall of Max Payne. Max Payne 2 came so close to utter brilliance, but it sort of got in over its head when it came to story. Just for clarification, the gameplay? Marvelous, just as enthralling as the first game. The gunplay? Incredibly satisfying, just like the original. So, what's the problem here? As much as we love the story between Max and Mona, man, there are some really weird dialogue in this. It gets really corny throughout, and it's not the kind of corny you can laugh at and roll your eyes at. We mean corny as in, who in the hell thought this was A-grade writing? Still, freaking fantastic game in every other aspect. You should definitely go play it. Number 9, Midnight Club Street Racing. Damn, even today the first Midnight Club looks like a beauty. Throughout the 2000s, it certainly felt like we were getting a new racing sim every month between this, Project Gotham Racing, and Gran Turismo, but what separated Midnight Club from the bunch was the massive world to explore and race around in. Well, that and the sweet soundtrack. Some aspects may not have aged too well given the advancements we've made today in controls and game feel, but still, the first Midnight Club serves as an excellent time capsule in what racing games were like in the early 2000s. More or less. Number 8, Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories.
So I want you to take it easy for a while, huh? Vincenzo will look after you. You need some money? Ask him.
In all honesty, the PS2 version of Liberty City Stories is a bit of a letdown. Part of the original PSP version's draw was the ability to play with 5 of your friends across different game modes. That isn't to say Liberty Cities is worth avoiding for that reason alone. You still have the crime-ridden streets of Liberty City to explore and wreak havoc in, only this time, it is in greater detail than the last time we saw it. Plus, it focuses on one of GTA 3's best characters, Tony Cipriani, and it showcases the technical capabilities of Rockstar's own proprietary engine, which would eventually evolve into what we know as the Rage engine. Number 7, Smuggler's Run. While the first Smuggler's Run is a bit smaller in scope than its sequel, it still surpasses it in different ways. Smuggler's Mission was an excellent campaign that left the gates open wide enough for players to find their own solutions to completing missions. Turf War was a thrilling set of minigames that served as excellent practice for driving. Enjoy Riding was great for simply exploring and understanding the game's level design without fearing the game's enemies. In a way, this was a game that truly understood the phrase player agency by giving them the means to figure out how they want to approach missions in their own way. Number 6, Midnight Club 2. Speaking of games that require an understanding of their level design, Midnight Club 2 was a much more demanding game than its predecessor. With the first game laying down the groundwork for formula and controls, Midnight Club 2 stepped in to crank the difficulty up a few notches by making maps more complex while still tucking away sneaky shortcuts. Your knowledge of the tracks as well as your driving skills were put to the test here, and it was this level of challenge that launched the franchise into one of the top IPs of racing games. Number 5. Red Dead Revolver. Many folks seem to forget that there was a Red Dead before the first Redemption. Despite what the title implies, Red Dead Revolver saw you using far more weapons than your standard 6-shooter. As the story progressed, you'd take control of other characters that came equipped with their own weapons to defend the town of Brimstone. Master the bow, shotgun, dual pistols, and yes, the revolver, and you might be the best of the West. Well, before Marston and Morgan showed up, that is. Number 4, The Warriors.
You gonna mess with my clique? Oh, we're killing him. Why are you doing that?
The Warriors was another one of those rare examples of licensed video games turning out good, and it actually blew everything out of the water. Rockstar could have easily made a simple beat-em-up in a similar vein as, say, State of Emergency, but they went far deeper than expected. In addition to the many combos and maneuvers you could pull off on your own, you could also pull off attacks in conjunction with your friends or learn new skills by helping other characters, leading to crazy and dumb stuff like arresting anyone you want just because you snagged a pair of handcuffs off of a cop. Once again, Rockstar showed here that player freedom can mean different things, not necessarily just letting them do everything that they want. And in this case, it was through a deep and entertaining combat system. Number 3, Midnight Club 3, Dub Edition Remix. The original Dub Edition was already an evolution for the Midnight Club games in how it expanded upon vehicle customization that affected your stats, as well as the inclusion of a custom track editor. But the difference between the original and remix is in the content packed into the latter. You have a couple dozen new cars to choose from, several new maps for races in battle mode, and a second campaign taking place in Tokyo for Midnight Club 2. This was street racing at its finest, making Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix a must-play for any racing fan and PS2 owner. Number 2, Bully.
You bless me, no, you are not getting away! You're coming with me, son!
On the surface, Bully may as well have been called GTA Junior, but doing so would have been an absolute disservice to the game. While it does have a bit more of a focus on juvenile delinquency, in a way that GTA does on crime, there is more to Bully than meets the eye. Yes, you have a game that lets you be a scrappy kid and run around to cause trouble for persnickety grown-ups. However, like its older brother, Bully holds some smart commentary on the fallacies of education systems, how kids fall into this weird hierarchy with each other, and how adults typically perceive and treat kids despite what intelligence they may hold. Bully might be rough around the edges for some, but when you spend time to understand and get to know it a bit better, you'll be amazed at what you find. Number 1, and you were all probably expecting it, Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy.
You picked the wrong house, fool!
Hey, Big Smoke! It's me, Carl! Chill!
CJ? Oh, my dog! What's up?
GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas were simply too good to put as their own individual rankings. It just wasn't fair for us to put them as their own individual things, really. These truly are the best games Rockstar has ever put out on the PlayStation 2, even if some aspects of them, like mechanics, gunplay, and etc., have not aged all that well. This trilogy showed the potential video games had in immersing the player, letting you do almost anything you wanted, from racing and shooting to ways you could break the game and complete missions in unconventional ways. We don't rave about these games for nothing, and neither does the fan base. If you haven't already, you need to stop what you're doing, and the second this video ends, go and boot up Vice City or San Andreas. Or GTA 3, but mostly Vice City or San Andreas.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out some of our other videos here on MojoPlays, and don't forget to subscribe for more great stuff every day.